Certainly. Here's a philosophical reflection on the idea of you are not perfect. The philosophy of imperfection. To be human is to be incomplete, a being in motion, not a finished product. The phrase, you are not perfect, is not a condemnation, but a recognition of our nature. Perfection implies a static ideal, a state without need for change. But human life is defined by growth, learning, and transformation, processes that inherently require imperfection. Imperfection is the ground from which empathy, humility, and resilience arise. If we were perfect, we would have no need to understand others, to forgive, or to overcome. Our flaws are not obstacles to life, but the very conditions that make life meaningful. Every mistake offers a lesson, every weakness a chance to build strength, and every limitation an invitation to connect with others. Moreover, the pursuit of perfection often leads not to fulfillment, but to suffering, because perfection is not only unattainable, it is unnatural. In accepting our imperfections, we embrace the truth of what it means to be alive, not a fixed point, but a path. Thus, to say you are not perfect is to affirm your humanity. And in that, there is beauty, based on the philosophy of you are not perfect. Not perfect, still enough. You are not perfect, never meant to be. Not carved from marble, nor shaped endlessly. You're made of stardust, scars, and shifting light. A soul still learning how to hold the night. You stumble often, falter in your grace. You wear your doubts like shadows on your face. Yet in each crack, a quiet truth is found. That life is not a line, but loops unbound. Perfection is a silence, cold and still. But you, your thunder, laughter, aching will. The beauty lies in how you rise and try, in how you break, then mend, then reach the sky. So hold your flaws like lanterns in the dark. They light the path, ignite your inner spark. For every fault is not a thing to shame, but part of love's unfinished, burning flame. Certainly, here's a theory grounded in the idea you've made mistakes. Expressed philosophically, the theory of constructive error. Premise: human beings are inherently fallible. Mistakes are not anomalies in the human experience, they are essential elements of it. Core proposition: every mistake is an act of creation in disguise. It is the birthplace of wisdom, adaptation, and authentic selfhood. Explanation: when we make mistakes, we confront the limits of our understanding, ability, or character. These moments of failure are not dead ends, but mirrors, reflecting who we are, what we value, and how we can grow. Unlike success, which affirms the known, a mistake opens the door to the unknown. It introduces new questions, provokes reflection, and often demands a reevaluation of beliefs, actions, or goals. 3 principles of the theory. 1. Error as catalyst. Mistakes accelerate growth more than correctness does. By failing, we are forced to re-examine assumptions and engage in critical thought. 2. Mistakes as identity. Shapers the way we respond to mistakes, whether we deny, learn, repeat, or transform shapes our moral and emotional maturity. 3. Redemptive potential. No mistake is final, unless we decide to stop learning from it. The meaning of a mistake is never fixed. It evolves based on what we do next. To make mistakes is not a weakness, it is the raw material of becoming. Wisdom is not the absence of error, but the art of rising above it. Again and again, with deeper compassion and greater clarity. You've made mistakes, developed into a reflective theory. The wisdom of error, a theory of constructive mistakes. To live is to err. Every human being, regardless of intention, intelligence, or morality, inevitably makes mistakes. Whether small missteps or life-altering errors, they are a universal part of the human condition. Yet in a society that often values perfection, punishes failure, and worships success, we tend to view our mistakes as blemishes, failures of character or competence. This view is not only unproductive, it is fundamentally false. This essay proposes a theory of constructive mistakes, a philosophical stance that sees error not as a detour from the path of growth, but as one of its most essential features. In this framework, mistakes are not merely to be tolerated. They are to be studied, embraced, and even honored as milestones in personal evolution. At in time, its final significance is determined by what comes after. The worst mistake, acknowledged and deeply understood, can become the turning point in a person's life. History is full of figures, philosophers, artists, leaders who were once deeply flawed or failed spectacularly, only to rise transformed. Redemption is real, but it is earned through reflection, responsibility, and action. To believe in the constructive nature of mistakes is to believe in the openness of the future, that no person is irredeemably defined by their past. You're not always right. Embracing imperfection for growth. The phrase, "you're not always right," may seem like a simple correction in casual conversation, but it carries profound philosophical and psychological implications. In a world increasingly shaped by polarized opinions and instantaneous information, the capacity to admit error is both rare and revolutionary. Cognitive limitation principle. Humans are cognitive beings, but not omniscient ones. Our knowledge is shaped by experience, education, environment, and emotional state, all of which are incomplete and ever-changing. Cognitive scientists have long studied the concept of bounded rationality, where decision-making is limited by the information we have, the time we have to make it, and the mental capacity available. Dynamic truth hypothesis. What is considered true or right is often a reflection of the time, context, and dominant worldview. For instance, scientific theories evolve once it was right to believe the Earth was the center of the universe. Similarly, cultural norms such as attitudes toward race, gender, or mental health have transformed radically over time. Recognizing the dynamic nature of truth encourages intellectual humility and openness to new ideas. Conflict resolution mechanism. One of the most immediate and practical benefits of accepting that you're not always right is its power to defuse conflict. Disagreements often escalate not from the differences in opinions themselves, but from the refusal to consider other viewpoints. When individuals enter conversations with the assumption that they may be wrong, they foster a space for listening, compromise, and collaboration. This is especially vital in relationships, workplaces, and multicultural settings where empathy and adaptability are key. Growth mindset feedback loop. Psychologist Carol Dweck's research on the growth mindset highlights that individuals who view abilities and intelligence as improvable are more likely to succeed than those who see them as fixed. Acknowledging that you're not always right aligns directly with this mindset. Mistakes become learning opportunities instead of sources of shame. Ego disarmament model. One of the greatest obstacles to admitting error is the human ego. Our sense of identity often becomes intertwined with our opinions. To be wrong, then, feels like a threat to self-worth. The fallibility awareness theory proposes a conscious disarmament of the ego, an understanding that being wrong does not make one lesser, but simply human. Conclusion. In an age where being right is often prized above being thoughtful, the ability to admit fallibility is a radical and necessary act. The fallibility awareness theory encourages us to embrace our imperfections as a path toward wisdom, connection, and progress. Recognizing that we are not always right liberates us from rigid thinking, from ego-driven conflict, and from the illusion of certainty. You have biases. Every human being carries biases, beliefs, assumptions, or preferences that influence how we perceive the world and make decisions. These biases, whether conscious or unconscious, are shaped by our upbringing, environment, culture, media exposure, and personal experiences. While bias is a natural part of human cognition, understanding its presence and influence is crucial for growth, fairness, and informed decision-making. Biases serve as mental shortcuts that help us process information quickly. For example, we might form a first impression of someone based on their appearance, accent, or clothing. While this can be helpful in some situations, it often leads to unfair judgments or stereotypes. A hiring manager, for instance, might favor a candidate who shares their alma mater or background, not because they are more qualified, but because of an unconscious bias. This kind of preference, though subtle, can contribute to systemic inequality. One of the most common forms of bias is confirmation bias, the tendency to seek out or interpret information in a way that confirms our existing beliefs. For example, someone who believes that a particular group is untrustworthy might focus only on negative news, stories about that group, ignoring positive examples. This selective perception reinforces stereotypes and hampers open-mindedness. Another major category is implicit bias, which operates beneath our awareness. Even individuals who consciously reject prejudice may still react differently to people based on race, gender, age, or appearance. Implicit biases are especially insidious because we may not even realize they are influencing our actions or judgments. Recognizing that we all have biases is the first step toward mitigating their negative effects. This requires humility and a willingness to self-reflect, engaging with diverse perspectives, questioning our assumptions, and educating ourselves about the experiences of others can help disrupt biased thinking. Tools like bias training, structured decision-making processes, and diverse representation in leadership can also promote fairness in institutions and society at large. In conclusion, having biases doesn't make us bad, it makes us human. But acknowledging and addressing those biases is what makes us better. By striving to understand where our biases come from and how they influence us, we can make more equitable choices and contribute to a more just and inclusive world. You've heard others, focusing on the psychological, moral, and social aspects of human behavior. You've heard others, a reflection on human behavior. Hurting others is an inevitable aspect of human interaction. Whether intentional or accidental, our actions and words can cause emotional or physical pain. The act of hurting others can be analyzed through psychological theories, moral philosophy, and social dynamics. Understanding why people hurt others, despite often knowing it is wrong, offers insight into human nature and the complexities of interpersonal relationships. From a psychological perspective, hurtful behavior can stem from unresolved emotions such as anger, jealousy, fear, or insecurity. Sigmund Freud's psychoanalytic theory suggests that individuals may project their internal conflicts onto others as a defense mechanism. When we feel threatened or vulnerable, we might lash out to protect ourselves emotionally, even if it causes harm to those around us. Similarly, behaviorist theories indicate that people may repeat harmful actions if they have been previously reinforced, either through attention, power, or control. Moral philosophy also plays a role in how we understand hurting others. Immanuel Kant emphasized duty and the moral imperative, not to treat others as a means to an end. When we hurt others for personal gain, convenience, or emotional release, we violate this principle. In contrast, utilitarianism evaluates actions based on their consequences. From this view, hurting someone might be justified if it leads to a greater good, though such reasoning is controversial and often misused to excuse unethical actions. Social dynamics further complicate the picture. Social identity theory, for example, explains how in-group/out-group biases can lead individuals to harm those they perceive as other. Peer pressure, cultural norms, and systemic structures can all contribute to the normalization of behavior that hurts others, sometimes making it difficult for individuals to even recognize the harm they cause. What is perhaps most important in the theory of hurting others is the concept of responsibility. While explanations for harmful behavior may vary, none eliminate the need for personal accountability. Recognizing when we have hurt others and taking steps to repair that damage is essential for moral development and healthy relationships. In conclusion, the act of hurting others is influenced by a combination of psychological drives, moral reasoning, and social context. Though it is a common human experience, it carries serious consequences for both the person harmed and the one who causes harm. Understanding the theory behind such behavior can lead us to greater empathy, self-awareness, and a more compassionate society. If you liked it, show some love, hit like, smash subscribe, and join the ride as we continue giving hard truth on life. You're capable of growth. In today's fast-paced and competitive professional world, the ability to grow both personally and professionally is not just a desirable trait. It is a necessity. Yet, too often, individuals underestimate their own capacity for change and improvement. Whether due to past setbacks, fear of failure, or self-doubt, many professionals place limits on their potential. The truth is simple yet profound. You are capable of growth. Growth begins with self-awareness, the cornerstone of emotional intelligence and effective leadership. Recognizing our strengths is important, but acknowledging our weaknesses, blind spots, and areas for improvement is what drives genuine progress. It takes humility to admit when we fall short and courage to seek constructive feedback. However, those who commit to honest self-reflection position themselves for long-term success. Equally important is the willingness to embrace change. In a professional context, growth may involve learning new skills, adapting to new roles, or navigating organizational transformation. It may require rethinking long-standing approaches or challenging assumptions. Change is rarely comfortable, but those who engage with it rather than resist it tend to emerge more capable, resilient, and resourceful. Continuous improvement also demands intentional action. Growth doesn't occur by accident. It requires a mindset of learning and discipline. Whether it's pursuing further education, developing leadership skills, or expanding your network, each step you take towards self-betterment contributes to your professional value and personal fulfillment. Progress may not always be immediate or visible, but with consistency, it becomes undeniable. Setbacks are inevitable. However, the ability to grow is not measured by a lack of failure, but by how we respond to it. Professionals who view failure as feedback and persist in the face of challenges tend to outperform those who fear making mistakes. Resilience, adaptability, and a growth mindset are increasingly recognized as critical competencies in the modern workforce. Ultimately, growth is not a destination but a lifelong process. Regardless of where you are in your career or how much you have already accomplished, there is always room to evolve. You have the ability to learn, to improve, and to lead, starting with a single decision to invest in your own development. You are capable of growth, not because you have all the answers now, but because you have the potential, the resources, and the willingness to keep moving forward. Embracing this truth empowers you to step out of your comfort zone, take risks, and unlock your full potential. By acknowledging your capacity for growth, you'll become more resilient, adaptable, and open to new experiences, ultimately leading to a more fulfilling life. You have limitations. Recognizing your limitations is a vital aspect of personal growth and development. By acknowledging what you're capable of and what lies beyond your capabilities, you can make informed decisions, prioritize effectively, and allocate your resources wisely. When you accept your limitations, you can focus on areas where you excel, leveraging your strengths to achieve success. This targeted approach enables you to maximize your potential, build confidence, and accomplish more. Moreover, recognizing limitations allows you to identify areas where you need support or guidance. By seeking help when needed, you can fill knowledge gaps, develop new skills, and overcome challenges that might otherwise seem insurmountable. Setting realistic goals is another benefit of acknowledging limitations. By understanding what you can accomplish, you can create achievable objectives, celebrate your successes, and maintain motivation. This approach also helps prevent burnout, as you're not overextending yourself or taking on unrealistic expectations. Working around limitations requires creativity and strategic thinking. By developing strategies to overcome or compensate for your weaknesses, you can turn potential obstacles into opportunities for growth. Ultimately, acknowledging limitations is a sign of strength, not weakness. It demonstrates self-awareness, humility, and a willingness to learn. By embracing your limitations, you can unlock your full potential, achieve greater success, and live a more fulfilling life. By embracing your limitations, you can also remove stress and anxiety from trying to do too much, build stronger relationships by asking for help when needed, develop a growth mindset, focusing on learning and improvement, increase self-compassion, treating yourself with kindness and understanding, enhance your problem-solving skills, finding creative solutions to challenges. In essence, recognizing and accepting your limitations is a powerful step towards personal growth, self-awareness, and success. It allows you to work smarter, not harder, and to live a more authentic, balanced, and fulfilling life. Understanding my limitations has allowed me to make better decisions. It has helped me communicate more clearly with colleagues, prioritize tasks more effectively, and ask for support when needed. It has also taught me the value of teamwork. No professional operates in a vacuum. Success is almost always a collective effort. When we acknowledge our limits, we make space for others to contribute their strengths. Moreover, being honest about limitations fosters a healthier workplace culture. It encourages openness, trust, and psychological safety, conditions under which innovation and collaboration thrive. Leaders who model humility and self-awareness create environments where learning is valued more than perfection and where growth is continuous rather than pressured. You're not alone. You've got room for improvement, and you're doing the best you can. These three hard truths offer profound insights into the human experience. Firstly, acknowledging that you're not alone can be a powerful realization. It reminds us that others have gone through similar struggles, and we can find comfort in shared experiences. This understanding fosters empathy, connection, and a sense of community. Secondly, recognizing that you've got room for improvement is a humbling yet empowering truth. It encourages self-reflection, growth, and a willingness to learn. By embracing our imperfections, we can strive for progress, develop new skills, and become better versions of ourselves. Lastly, accepting that you're doing the best you can is a liberating acknowledgement. It promotes self-compassion, reduces self-criticism, and allows us to focus on progress rather than perfection. By practicing kindness towards ourselves, we can cultivate a more positive and resilient mindset. Together, these truths remind us that we're part of a larger human experience, that growth is a lifelong journey, and that self-acceptance is essential for well-being. By embracing these realities, we can cultivate a more empathetic, growth-oriented, and compassionate approach to life. As we navigate life's challenges, these truths can serve as guiding principles. By recognizing we're not alone, we can build stronger relationships and support networks. By acknowledging room for improvement, we can pursue personal growth and development. And by accepting we're doing our best, we can practice self-care and self-compassion. Embracing these truths can lead to a more authentic, humble, and resilient life. We can let go of unrealistic expectations, comparisons, and self-doubt. Instead, we can focus on progress, learning, and self-improvement. Ultimately, these hard truths offer a path to greater self-awareness, empathy, and understanding. By embracing our shared human experience, imperfections, and limitations, we can cultivate a more compassionate and growth-oriented mindset. This, in turn, can lead to a more fulfilling, meaningful, and purposeful life. Remember, growth is a journey, not a destination. By embracing your imperfections, limitations, and humanity, you can cultivate a more compassionate and growth-oriented mindset. Let's embark on this journey of self-discovery together. Stay awesome. Hit that like button and subscribe for more.